sound on my computer. So
recording in progress.
If there's any budget questions, I told Elizabeth I would cover it for her. She was unable to make it tonight, so I apologize. Is there something you want me to talk about?
Do you know how much money is in the bank account for next year? I
don't. We are just about where we were or where we are each year at this point. So our PTA right now funds are around like 10,000.
Okay.
At this point right now. We made about $1,000 from the Niagara chocolate sale this year, and probably equal amount of money in terms of the families that chose to opt out of fundraising altogether, which is great. And again, just to let parents know, the money that's in there, I know that sounds like, wow, that's a lot of money. We do give all the teachers a $300 amount or chunk to spend each year for their classrooms. So the majority of that budget by June, gets used directly for the teachers in the classroom, along with, events that we normally would hold for the school.
Okay, that's all actually very helpful. I really appreciate that. Adrian, do you have a minute to go over notes from what happened in our most recent meeting and how people can access past meetings?
So if you go to the School 23 website, up on top, there's a header called PTA. You click there, then you can access both the meeting minutes, and also you can watch the whole recorded meeting on YouTube. So our meeting minutes from last September are up there. And there were a lot of questions about, the return to in-school stuff, like kids eating lunch in person, questions about the building ventilation, stuff like that. So all those questions and answers are up in the meetings minutes as well. And then it's listed who is the various volunteers are for the different events we're having coming up as well. And also it had our budget at about 10,000. I mean, not our budget, but our bank account at about $10,000 back then as well. So we're pretty stable.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Adrian. That's Adrian Martin, our secretary. Aaron, can you talk about the Niagara chocolate fundraiser? I know that but from more of a review perspective, we've already said how much money we made from it, $1,085. But I was wondering if you could put that into perspective and compare it to previous fundraisers and thoughts that you had on how successful it was and whether or not we should continue it.
Sure. So we typically, believe it or not, make about $4,000 to $5,000 on the Niagara chocolate fundraiser, which was shocking to all of us officers when we came into this. Last year we did not do it, obviously, because of COVID. This year the fundraiser was all online, which I was super excited about because it was totally hands off for us as officers. But for any parents who participated, I'm sure you felt some frustration the way I did on what they were offering and all of that. So bottom line is we only made about 1,000. So that's extremely, less than we normally would. And, whoever does take over for us next year, I mean, maybe you'll have to weigh the pros and cons of what, if you want to keep that fundraiser going. Obviously being solely online, it was super, super easy. But the downfall was the catalog wasn't as big. I think they were only offering 11 items for people to buy. They charged tax because we were buying directly from them as opposed to a student from the school. And then they also charged shipping. So I expressed all my concerns with our Niagara chocolate representative, and we'll see if they change some of those things for next year.
We also couldn't do, like, we usually had like fun competitions where the student who gets the most sales gets the prize, and we were all ready to give like prizes out for second and third place too, but there was no way to do that this time, was there?
No, so I apologize. I think we went forward with that incentive and my
Yeah.
own children were super excited. And then after talking with our representative, there was no way for them to allow us to know who was buying from which student, which was another huge downfall, and the incentive wasn't there, for people to sell that much. So there was a survey that came out, and I expressed all those concerns and made all those suggestions moving forward if they do continue that fundraiser online. And like I said, we'll see what happens for next year and whether or not it's worth continuing.
Yeah, whoever the officers are next year, if that's something to consider over the summer, and to perhaps get into touch with Niagara Chocolates to see if this is something worth doing, if they're going to address any of those problems. Otherwise, I don't know. Then again, it wasn't that much effort for $1,085. So if that's considered as well, maybe continue doing it even if the problems aren't fixed, because it's something. But I admit I didn't buy chocolate this year, and the first 2 years we did buy a lot, because I just didn't like the offerings as much. But so it's worth thinking about. All right, thank you, Aaron. Okay, Tasha, can you talk? Can you give us a preview of the upcoming readathon?
Hi, so my name is Latasha Pomerantz, and I am helping this year with Readathon, and I am so excited. Readathon is about a little over 2 weeks. It is February 7th through the 18th, so make sure you mark it on your calendar. Readathon is so important because not only are we encouraging our students and our children to read, and to practice reading, to log in their minutes, be responsible with logging in their minutes, igniting their love for books. And I know Mr. Beck understands, because he is a big helper with helping our children ignite that love for books and love for reading. As well as getting their family and friends to sponsor them. So their family and friends sponsor the reader, and as they're sponsoring, the kids get excited and they begin to read even more and log in more minutes. And so this year, I am really, really excited about the readathon and all the things that we will be doing with it. And so we do ask parents support today. They should have received something home, just kind of an introduction to what to do and how to register your student. Remember, you're registering your child. Your child then logs their minutes, so you log in the amount of time that they read, and then other family members and parents. Yes, thank you. Other family members, yay for my husband who was able to make the poster, the flyer for me. But they log in their minutes and their time. And then, of course, they gain sponsors that way. And so we want to make sure we continue to encourage our friends and family to support our children, but also support our children in their reading. And so there's a lot of other things that go along with Readathon. The kids will receive incentives. There will be incentives for the class who registers the most students, and also incentives for the student who gets the most sponsors, as well as logs in the most minutes. But we are still kind of working out the kinks to make sure that we can still do similar things, of course, because of COVID, everything is an adjustment. But we are still working together with Miss Yarlett. Thank you so much, Miss Yarlett, for being flexible and helping me. But we are still working together. I'm excited. My kids love to read, and so I'm excited to be able to share with these other, our community of children, our love for reading and their love for reading. And so that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Latasha. I didn't receive anything in my child's folder today. Maybe it's going to be later in the week, you think, like on Thursday or Friday?
Yes, so it was given to the teacher. So according to the teacher, if they were able to give it today, if not, you should definitely have it by next Monday. It just depends on the teacher.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So what's next? I am very much looking forward to the readathon myself. My son gets really into it too, and it's something that great that we can all do at home and help get involved with ourselves, which is really exciting. Ms. Yarla, I did have a question for you about the book fair. The last time we had a book fair was just before the school closed down in 2020, and this seems to be something that can only really happen in person. And so I'm wondering, have you heard anything about whether or not there's going to be a book fair in 2022, or will there be some kind of online version? We're just a bit in the dark about whether or not there's going to be a book fair, and we have a lot of volunteers ready to help with it if necessary, but we just don't even know if there's going to be one.
Yeah, so thank you for asking the question. We are, the district, of course, has certain guidelines right now as to what events can be held at school, what needs to be virtual with the, oh goodness, sorry, I'm having a brain mishap here. Anyway, they're going to make sure everything is virtual for now. They were trying to stray away from in-person events. And so with that in mind, I sat down with the librarian, our new librarian this year, Ms. Carlson, several weeks ago to start talking about it. And unfortunately, she's been not available the last few weeks. She should be back this week. And so we're planning to get together to see what we can do. She's very experienced in doing scholastic book fairs, but again, she was going to look into those things and figure out with Scholastic what we can do possibly virtually and online. I would hope it would still be very popular, right? I'll be curious when she sets up a meeting with Scholastic, how we can make that work for our families. I am an avid reader. I love reading. The more books we put in our kids' hands, the better. It's a wonderful fundraiser for our building because there's such a love of reading. So it is a commitment of ours. We're going to do our very best to make it happen. And hopefully I'll have an update for you within a week.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll just put down a reminder to myself here to contact you about that in a week.
Great. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to Ms. Pomerantz. Thank you for all your work on the readathon. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I second that 100%. Sorry, I'm just taking down notes the old-fashioned way. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Yarlitz, and hopefully we'll still be able to have something for the book fair. You know, these days we just all do the best we can. So, is Miss Patricia? Are you on? Are you able to talk about the Piece of Africa dinner in 2022?
Yes, I am here. Hello, families. How are you guys this evening? Want to first say thank you for coming out. And if you don't mind, I would like to share my screen of the flyer that will be going home this year. So my shared governance team and I have, we do understand that our yearly Piece of Africa event will be virtually. So what we're doing is we had a project-based learning showcase a few weeks ago. We're gonna sort of kind of do something a little jazzier than like them, but not them, but we're gonna do something a little jazzy this year because we have to be virtual, which really, but we will be showcasing the students' work. I will say Miss English has already started. I can't tell you what it is, but in art, the kids are already working on some stuff. And I'm going to tell you, families, I cried. I cried because what they're doing in art class and in music is amazing. So I can't wait for you guys to see what the children have done. So our event is going to take place on February 17th from 5 to 7. And Here's a piece of the flyer. Just this was for tonight's viewing, and we will send this home. I'm gonna say as we start to get closer, the first week in February. If you have any questions or concerns, you guys know you can always reach out to me. At this moment, again, it's unfortunate that it's going to be virtual, but our students have been working on some great things. So we'll have something put together for you guys soon.
Well, thank you, Ms. Patricia, and I'm looking forward to attending it, even if it is virtual. And maybe
Yeah,
next year,
even though the kids they're kind of upset with me because they're like, we don't want to do this virtual. This is our event, and it's heartbreaking to say I'm sorry, we can't do what we used to do. So, but it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. It's always a good one.
It will be. It really will be. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Patricia. Adrian and Jesse, are you? Of course, Adrian's here. Jesse said that he might be like, he's here now, but could you tell us about Bike to School Day? This is outdoors, so this is something that I'm hoping that we can do big.
Yeah, so my first year at 23, when my oldest was in kindergarten, we did Bike to School Day. Everybody met at the Museum of Science parking lot, and we biked over with a police escort, and it was a huge event. There were probably like 60 people biking. And then there were a bunch of temporary bike racks at school, and people handing out snacks, and the news was there, and it was like a big deal. So now it's a little more difficult to do events. We're hoping that we can go forward with the in-person Bike to School Day stuff. In the fall, there were, a bunch of people biking to school anyways. So Jesse and our tentative plan is that we'll have kind of two smaller groups. One group meet at the Museum of Science Center, meet up there to bike over as a group, and another group meet on the other side of school over at Cobb's Hill and bike over from there. And that, we'll all kind of arrive at school. And I've got the form to where we can request temporary bike racks from the city. And I still need to contact the guy that organized the 2019 and earlier Bike to School events, Doug Kelly. His kids have aged out. But I'm going to contact him and see what else I need to do from him. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, since it's all outdoors and before school hours, hopefully we can go through with it.
I can't wait. Maybe we can play Star Wars music again this year.
Yeah. It is May 4th. May 4th. So
Yeah.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Adrian. I'm really looking forward to that one. We'll have another PTA meeting before that takes place, so we can talk about it more then too.
Yeah.
Ms. Patricia, I'm going to call on you again. Some parents have asked about school-based committee. Can you talk about that a minute so folks know what it is and how they get involved?
I am going to share my screen again. Don't tell me you lost it. Okay, can you guys see this? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Thank you. So without further ado, and I first want to apologize for taking so long. As I was explaining to a few parents who I've talked about this process with over these last few months, it just seems like every time I get right there to go, there's always something else that stops us from moving forward. So I came back determined to get this process going as quick as possible. So again, families, thank you for being patient with me during this time. So without further ado, this is the email that I sent to PTA Ms. Yarlett to put on our Francis Facebook page. I'm sharing tonight with families, but as far as the other information, it's also going to be posted tonight on our Francis Facebook page. It's just briefly introduce them who I am and my purpose. I am looking for families, one parent from 3 different families to be a part of our school-based planning team. And here you'll see that I introduce what our committee is all about. In a few months, parents that sit on school-based will sit with us, teachers and administrators, and we will put together our school comprehensive plan. And it's a plan that our school has to go by. It deals with academics, it deals with social emotional needs, professional developments for teachers. So this is the platform outside of PTA where parents' voice is the most heard and input is necessary and needed. We are a school of diverse children, so we're looking for diversity on school base. I'm also looking for parents who have students with special education needs, to also jumpstart this team. Again, I'll stop sharing so I can see you guys' beautiful faces. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. I have extended the deadline to next week, Wednesday, where I'm asking families if they are interested in being a part of this committee, send me an email. I want to make sure I have accurate email information. And then once I get all of that by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will look at all the emails. I will contact the families that are interested, ask questions. Now, the questions that I will be asking the families, they come from our school-based members that are current sitting on the members now, which consist of parents and educators. I will ask just a few simple questions, and then shortly after there will be a poll where I'll put out to families to vote on which families they would like to represent them on the school-based committee. We are looking for families, hopefully, to commit to a 2-year term, but we do understand if 1 year is only doable. And it consists of, we meet once a month via Zoom, and we go over a lot of data, and we discuss 23 in-depths. So again, families, if you're interested, please email me. This information will be on our Facebook page, and good will hunting.
Thank you so much, Ms. Patricia. Would it be helpful if through our email list and Facebook page, if we like solicited people to submit their names?
Sure, by all means, I definitely want everybody to take a part of this, no matter who you are, where you come from. I would like for everybody to be a part of this. Not only are we looking for the 3 families, but there's also room to have alternates, or special guests that sit and help us do certain things. So it's definitely want to see, I'm interested in seeing who's ready for this interesting journey.
Sounds good.
By the way, Mr. Beck, I see you smiling at me. That means I'm getting good at this.
Ms. Patricia, can you email me the information about, like, because I will send an email out that to the PTA email list, but I need the information, like what you just posted up there, like who families should contact and more description.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't fully understand myself. So, but if you could send it along, I'd be happy to send it out.
Absolutely. There's a whole possibility that I didn't send it to the right place, but definitely I will send it again.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we've only got a couple more things left on our agenda, which I guess we're gonna get through faster than usual today. Spiritware. Aaron, can you talk about Spiritware briefly? I guess there's not much to say.
Yeah, so back when we did that opening school bash, which was super awesome, we were able to sell a lot of our existing inventory on School 23 t-shirts and sweatshirts. And a lot of parents needed sizes other than what we had at that time. So Elizabeth worked with setting up a school Spiritware store through Kitty Box Press, who is Ian, I'm gonna say his name wrong, but Ian Ugling, if I'm saying that right. So if you are on our Facebook, the PTA Facebook page, Elizabeth actually posted that link up there today, and then we can work on having that link shared through our PTA email list, as well as sending it, maybe Miss Yarley can also have it on the school's webpage. I know we're not wearing uniforms anymore, which I was sad about, but that's okay. My kids are happy. So I don't know how many parents are still really interested, but the t-shirts are super nice. Like my kids still wear the t-shirt and the hoodies. So it's there for those that want it, and they're really, really high quality.
Great, thank you so much, Aaron. I was also sad about no more uniforms, but then again, it has been a little bit easier to shop for my son now. I mean, he wears a uniform every day now. Like he wears camo to school like every day. He just wants a different uniform, I guess. I don't know. Okay.
Linus and I talked about that camouflage outfit today too. I told him to keep going.
Yeah, he even wants to be a soldier. I've learned. So but maybe he'll want to be something else next year, as often has happened. So, but we'll see how these things go. So, one thing I want to say first is if you have any questions at this time for Miss Yarlett, please put them in the chat. We haven't received any so far. So please just go ahead and put those questions in the chat for Miss Yarlett. And while you're doing that, I just wanted to take a minute to sort of to make a pitch, maybe a plea to anyone on this call who is a School 23 parent and who's going to be one for the next 2 years afterwards, to please strongly consider stepping forward and being a PTA officer next year. This is something like the current group of officers we've been in, this is our 3rd year now, we're only supposed to do 2. And it has been difficult to find new officers because usually you see who steps up to volunteer at events and who's talkative at meetings in person. And obviously we haven't had those. So it's been difficult for us to find new officers. And so we really are going to need people to volunteer, to step forward saying that this is something that they're willing to do, because we are going to have officer elections in May for a new 2-year term. And, I suppose it's always plausible that 1 or 2 of us or could stay on for another 2 years, but it's not necessarily good for the school if that's the way it goes, because we need a wide variety of parents to be participating in the school-wide committees, in the school organizations. And so I know it's been difficult because there haven't been the in-person events, and I know people are tired and burned out by these 2 years of the pandemic. But I also just want to say, please come step forward. It can't be any worse than what happened to us over the last 3 years. Like when we all started, we were like, woohoo, I can't wait to organize all these school events and have a great time. And then there were the budget cuts, and then there was the pandemic, and it was, it didn't really go the way we planned. I mean, we even had this situation where we were organizing an event the day the mayor closed everything down. Oh, see, some things went great in the pandemic. There's one of the good things from the pandemic right there, Cyrus. And and it can't be any worse than what happened to us from 2019 to 2022. You're going to have a better experience. You're going to be able to organize events again. You're going to be able to go into school again, probably. Or even if you can't, it can't be any worse than what already happened. So it's not as much work as you think. Like, it is work, but it's very satisfying work. It's maybe a couple hours a week, and you're texting with other parents, and it's great. It's like it's a way to sort of help build your personal circles and your social circles and your community here at the school. I have actually found it very satisfying, even if I am tired. I'm certainly open to being replaced in the next 2 years. But please strongly consider it. It is a good experience. Like, even with everything that happened, it was. I'm still very glad that I did it, and I think you will be too. And we'll all be around to help you as much as possible. So please seriously consider being a PTA officer. If this is something you are interested in, please just reply to just contact us at the PTA emails or or hit one of us up if you know any of the current officers, or just track us down on the playground after school if you're there. So please strongly think about it. We're going to need those new officers soon, even though it's 4 months until the elections. It's still something that we need to start looking into now. So, okay, with that said, do we have any questions in the comments? Okay, and I will turn it over to Ms. Yarlett to answer the questions that have appeared in the comments.
Thank you so much, and it's good to see all of you. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I do see from Miss May regarding that Bike to School Day, is there an opportunity to tap community resources or support to provide a few bicycles for students who may not have the means to participate? That's a great question. And I am very fortunate that we forged a relationship with Community Bike Helpers, who was able to supply 10 bikes for us on the Back to School Bash event. Gently used bikes that they've refurbished and restored as best they can, that we were able to then raffle off at our table. And it was wonderful. The bikes were very popular and they come in all sizes. We're able to request, do we want adult bikes or child size bikes and whatnot. They do limit it at 10 bikes at a time. I can certainly reach out to our contact there and see if they're still moving forward with that. Their goal was to continue. That's a great thought. We'd love for everyone to have the opportunity to participate. And if I'm able to secure 10 bikes soon, then maybe 2-3 weeks later, I can get another 10. So I will work with them on that and see if we can accommodate that, because the more the better. It's a wonderful, wonderful event. And then Miss Osach is interested. So interested in, I'm so sorry, Miss Osach says, I am interested, can't get on video or speaker now, but I'll track one of you down at school tomorrow. Great. Or in the next few days. Oh, in the PTA. There you go. There you go, Mr. Bowers. Woo-hoo.
Chris, you were very convincing. It was a very good speech. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So yes, more,
Thank you.
more the better.
Okay.
And then from Ms. Pomerantz, can you provide information on how number 23 is handling the rise in COVID cases or possible staffing? So I'm so glad you brought that up. As you know, it's kind of been sweeping across the district right now, a huge uptick and across our community in COVID positive cases among students and staff. I will say relative to other buildings, whereas we had a large spike in our school in October, November, pretty much right after Halloween up till a little before Thanksgiving, we had a large spike. We have been very blessed and fortunate that with the remote learning days, any spike we saw in the beginning of this month up until last week's report, those cases have been pretty steady. And so what we continue to do is when we're notified of a positive case, and I will say, we do have weekly testing right at our school through Walgreens on Wednesdays. And we currently have 75 students signed up for that out of 290. And we just sent home testing packets yesterday. If you want to sign up your own children for this testing, and they do it right in school. The district sent out the actual form you need to fill out. I guess it wasn't included in the packet originally, and they do send their sincerest apologies. So today students should have come home in their book bag with the actual sheet to sign if you're choosing to sign it as a written application. The other option, of course, is to register online. And so the information in your child's book bag will be there for you. If for any reason you don't see it, please contact the school tomorrow, and between our secretaries and Ms. McKinney and myself, we'll make sure you get that information. That has been very helpful. A majority of our cases are coming through on the Wednesday testing, with results coming in about Friday and parents notifying us on Friday. And a majority of the students have been asymptomatic. They don't express any symptoms. So that's been wonderful because, they could be contagious and not even know they have it. So that's been a really wonderful tool for us to prevent the spread of COVID. And then, of course, we quarantine the immediate students around that may have been exposed during lunchtime when masks are up and down, that's the only time that there would really even be a potential close contact. I will say there is new guidance that has been going out just about every day from the district, as the CDC and then our Department of Health and our district are taking in new information. They're changing some of the processes. So in the past, at the start of the year up through Christmas or the winter break, it was that any child or staff member that tested positive, vaccinated or not, was immediately quarantined for 10 days. The district has changed this guidance based on the new guidelines from DOH, which expressly state that it's 5 days for a student to be in quarantine if they are asymptomatic or are resolving their symptoms, getting better. They can actually return after 5 days as long as they're wearing a mask continuously. That's new. Also, if you're vaccinated and you have no symptoms, you don't have to quarantine at all anymore. So there's some new guidance going out that I'd be happy to post on our school website that'll go into great detail and be able to answer all of your questions about that, because the guidance is changing right now pretty much every other day. Before that, we would get new guidance maybe every month, month and a half. So I think, they're learning more about the virus, and they're trying to figure out contagious, how often we're contagious. When we quarantine students, it's based on who would have been exposed 2 days prior to the positive case or date of symptoms, whichever came first. So sometimes the quarantine dates for the different kids or the students are somewhat different from each other, just based on what their last date of exposure to a positive student was. So there's a lot to go into about that. And again, I'm happy to share that new guidance on our school website, as we just got another kind of update, a little revision made even as of today. So I will do that, and hopefully that will help answer any questions you have. In general, our building's doing pretty good. We've had a run with staff lately. You've seen from or heard in my Thursday calls, staff members have been contracting it. But again, if they're vaccinated, they're back in school. And if not, they're taking the full 10 days, which is what the CDC and the DOH are saying. So, it's fluid. There's 3 different, if you look at a flow chart, there's 3 different columns now. If this, then this. And so it's been a catch-up game for us, especially with contact tracing, because now we have to take into account, is this child vaccinated or not vaccinated? When was the last date of exposure? We've had less cases and spread in the building also because of the holidays, and even going into remote instruction briefly. That also helped because then the kids weren't around each other and spreading. So we've been very fortunate compared to colleagues at other buildings. So we'll keep fighting the good fight and trying to make sure our kids stay healthy and safe, and that we're doing everything we can to support each of you, as you're trying to keep your own kids safe and healthy. So I see here, how long are the school-based planning team meetings, and what night of the week are those held? So the school-based planning team determines that every year, but historically it's held on Wednesdays, and the time also changes. We try our best to accommodate parents. So they've been anywhere from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. to 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. So we have 2 different time frames. So once we have all of our members, then we're able to kind of come to consensus on when we can meet. Even with our teaching staff, just like you, they have families of their own. And so we try to accommodate everyone based on the needs at that time. But it's 1 hour. If we end up going over for any reason, the team votes on it. But of course, anyone who can't stay is welcome to leave. And they all have access to the meeting minutes so that they're up to date on what we're discussing. We meet once. Oh, thank you, Miss McKinney. You even posted, you're so far ahead of it. And it is the 3rd Wednesday of every month. That's right. How does the term continuously account for lunchtime? How does the term continuously? Can you clarify, continue?
Yeah, and actually, hi, it's Shanoa. Someone
Hi.
else, Adrian Martin, was asking the same question. You were
Mhm.
giving us an overview of some of the guidelines around a reduced return time for students who had tested COVID positive and how they're able to come back now within after 5 days quarantine if they are masked continuously. So I think a couple of us are struggling with what continuously looks like when there's lunchtime.
Mhm. So during lunchtime, any child that's come back from quarantine that again has done their time, that sounds horrible, has done their quarantine time and comes back, there are two options. So one, we've asked our teachers, because it's really about being within 6 feet of someone for 15 minutes straight with a mask off, which again, we're monitoring that as best we can, and so are our lunch aides. So, but to be prepared and cautious, the district does say we have to quarantine those around them. But when kids return, the teachers are supposed to be putting them at maybe their table, their little horseshoe table, because as long as they're 6 feet apart from their peers, they can eat lunch. We worked very, very hard with the kids, especially at the youngest grades, on how to pull their mask down, take a bite or a sip of something, and then put their mask up to chew and swallow, because the CDC defines close contact as any one person within the company of someone who's positive, whether it's the positive person, I'm sorry, in the company of a positive person for 15 minutes straight or longer with no mask on. So that doesn't happen in our building. At no time do we believe a kid has their mask down for 15 minutes. However, the only time that could potentially happen is during lunchtime. And so to be fair, the district has stated at every school, anybody who sits at the same table as a child who's positive, due to the fact that may have occurred only during lunchtime, those students are who is quarantined. But yes, when they return, if they have to do the 5 days, the teacher is supposed to sit them away 6 feet away, or if that's a problem, we make sure we find another location where they can eat lunch in the presence of an adult. So far, it's been great. The kids are returning; they're super happy, and it's wonderful to have them back sooner, for sure. 5 days is much better than 10, because the longer they're out of school, they want to be here, and we're so excited to have them. That's a great question. Miss Borelli, my son was vaccinated, but I never officially notified the school. Should we have done that? If you have vaccinated your child, absolutely call the school and ask to speak to the school nurse. Usually, though, when a child is vaccinated, it's automatically populated by the doctor into a system called Welligent. And only school nurses have access to that, not administrators, not teachers. And so with the child's birthday and name, they're able to look up if that child is vaccinated. So for the last few weeks, we've been looking at that information before we call and quarantine students. However, if for some reason it wasn't reported, I always recommend, if you've quarantined your children, please call the school and just let the nurse know, and she can check Welligent. And if it's not in there, she'll be able to make sure that that's in the system. That's been a big help. We're very fortunate. We have a high number of vaccinated students at this time that we know of. And so they have not had to quarantine if they did not express any symptoms. So that's been very helpful in keeping our kids in school. These are great questions. And again, I will post the newest information on our district website. If you can give me till tomorrow, there'll be a PowerPoint in there that you can read new guidance on exactly what we're doing. And it's very exciting that we're starting to find ways to, not just bucket everyone this one way, but find what fits the situation. Ms. Pomerantz, I see your hand up.
Oh. I'm sorry, I had a question. It would be very difficult for me to.
Of course, while you hold your child.
But my question is, I'm trying to see if this is, oops, sorry.
Aww.
I'm trying to see if this is a district thing or if it's a school, an idea for the district or an idea for the school.
Sure.
I remember when we were doing remote before, some teachers were able to record the lesson, and therefore the students would be able to watch it at some point, whether they were sick or consistent absences, however that worked. My question is, when we do have students who are out for 10 days, is it possible at all that the teacher still be recorded with, like, whether it's her lesson, or even if she does private messages or recordings for her students, that it could be something that they can provide to students who are out for 10 days, like, so that when they come back, they're coming back in the flow of what the other students, just, I didn't know if it was a district question or a specific school question.
Oh, that's great. It's an excellent question. It's actually, the district has come out with the guidance for that, and schools follow that guidance, which is that if a child is in quarantine, then they are allowed to work remotely and be marked present asynchronous for work done through Google Classroom, Seesaw. However, the teacher, there's nothing for the teacher to work in the simultaneous environment. They don't have to do that. The district has said this is what it is, the way it currently is, where students complete work on their own, or when they return, if they're of course ill and unable to do work, that they can, even if they're marked absent, excused that day, they can make up that work, and then their attendance is changed to present asynchronous. So unfortunately, and that's, I think, with bargaining units such as the RTA and whatnot, there are stipulations as to what teachers are required to do or can do. However, certainly there are individual teachers that may opt to do things differently for their families. I allow the teachers, if they want to go beyond what the district is saying they need to do, that's on a case-by-case basis. I will say that one thing the district did, which we were very grateful for, because again, in the beginning of the year, the guidance was very different. If you missed school, you missed school. And after having several discussions as all principal meetings with the leadership, we said there has to be opportunities for children through no fault of their, it's not their fault. They're positive, it's happening, it's out there, it's going to be everywhere. And we need to have opportunities for them to not be marked absent or absent excused, which is how it was at the beginning of the year. So the district decided, okay, we have two options, and you can do both or one. One being that if they do any work from the days that they missed, they can automatically have their attendance changed to present asynchronous. Again, this would be only for quarantine students, not students home with regular illness or other means. It's just for quarantine individuals. Or we offer every single day from 9:30 to 10 an open Zoom link time where Mrs. D'Arienzo, our teacher assistant, works, and who knows all of the kids in the school. She opens a Zoom link, and any child in quarantine can hop onto the Zoom link. At that time, they can ask for help with any work they're doing at home, ask for any information that they need to be able to work at home, and just to check in. A lot of times, because I've had to run a few myself, it's a check-in. It's kids talking and sharing what they did over the weekend. And as soon as a child logs into the quarantine Zoom link, they're considered present asynchronous. So at the end of that 30-minute quarantine time, which kids can pop in anytime during that window, that list of names of students that came onto the link is given to the school secretary, who changes their time to present asynchronous. So sometimes even before robocalls go out, we've already changed their absence to present asynchronous. So that's definitely a blessing. That's something we did not have in the beginning of the year. And I'm glad the district at least came to that. So that's where we are right now. That's a great question, Ms. Pomerantz. That's come up for a very long time, right? Can we do simultaneous? Can the teacher record themselves? The district can't require that of teachers and does not. Their current guidance is that kids can complete work offline, that teachers should be uploading assignments for them, or they can work on iReady, or they can work in Success Maker or Raz Kids or Zern or other things, because the teachers see those reports daily and can update their attendance. Not ideal, absolutely, but I'm glad we at least have the time every day for face-to-face even if it's within a Zoom. It's been really helpful. I don't see any more questions in the chat, Mr. Bowers.
Okay, well, that's totally fine because we're just about at the end of our time, and we did use up the whole hour. Thank you so much, Ms. Yarlett. You always
You're
have such
welcome.
thorough, and I don't know, I'm just impressed that you're able to extemporize like that.
That's lots and lots of contact tracing practice. I'm glad anyone can call me or email me anytime, and I can try to answer those questions for you.
Okay. Well, that's all I had. And, once again, thank you everyone for coming. And our next meeting is in March. I don't remember exactly what day, but it's going to once again be from 6 to 7, sometime in March on a Wednesday. So that narrows it down to 4 or 5 different days. I don't know how many Wednesdays there are in March, but the next one's in March, and you'll see emails and robocalls and Facebook posts about it before it comes. But that's all I had, and thank you so much, everyone. And you'll be hearing more from us about school base and other Piece of Africa dinner and other upcoming school events. When we find out more about the book fair, we'll let you know. And that's it. But otherwise, have a good evening, everyone, and we'll see you at School 23.
Thank you all.
All right.
All right.